Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Teresa Jackson, the cerebral palsy sketch artist. I hope that everyone is well. Today's video is about insulin and diabetes. Diabetes is a chronic medical condition that affects your body's ability to regulate sugar levels. There are two main types, type 1 and type 2. Diabetes mellitus, diabetes, is a chronic and potentially life-threatening condition where the body loses its ability to produce insulin, or begins to produce or use insulin less efficiently, resulting in blood glucose levels that are too high, hyperglycemia. Insulin is a hormone that lowers the level of glucose, a type of sugar, in the blood. It's made by the beta cells of the pancreas and released into the blood when the glucose level goes up, such as after eating. Insulin helps glucose enter the body's cells, where it can be used for energy or stored for future use. Insulin was discovered by Sir Frederick G. Banting, pictured, Charles H. Best and J. J. R. MacLeod at the University of Toronto in 1921, and it was later purified by James B. Collop. It was one of the greatest medical breakthroughs in history, which went on to save millions of lives around the world and triggered a century of diabetes discoveries. Here we take a look at the journey that got us there. By 1920, scientists had already pinpointed clusters of cells in the pancreas, called islets, that produce insulin, and worked out that it's these cells that are destroyed in type 1 diabetes. Understanding the cause of type 1 diabetes meant researchers now had a chance of treating the condition. Attempts had been made to extract insulin from ground-up pancreas cells, but they'd all proved unsuccessful. The challenge was to find a way to extract insulin from the pancreas without it being destroyed in the process. In October 1920, Frederick Banting, a Canadian surgeon, read an article that suggested insulin-producing cells in the pancreas are slower to deteriorate than other pancreas tissue. Banting realized that this might allow for the removal of insulin by breaking down the pancreas in a way that would leave just the cells that produce insulin intact. The 7th of November 1920, great minds come together. By 1920, scientists had already pinpointed clusters of cells in the pancreas, called islets, that produce insulin, and worked out that it's these cells that are destroyed in type 1 diabetes. Understanding the cause of type 1 diabetes meant researchers now had a chance of treating the condition. Attempts had been made to extract insulin from ground-up pancreas cells, but they'd all proved unsuccessful. The challenge was to find a way to extract insulin from the pancreas without it being destroyed in the process. The 17th of May 1921, experiments started. MacLeod provided Banting with the labs needed to conduct their experiments and brought in a research student, called Charles Best, to help out. Best specialized in testing blood to check glucose levels. This would be the way they would know whether their insulin extracts were having any benefit. On the 17th of May 1921, Banting, Best and MacLeod first got together to begin their research and set about figuring out how to remove insulin from a dog's pancreas. Their method involved tying off the pancreatic duct to kill off other substances in the pancreas that would destroy insulin, but leave the islets intact. The remaining extract would then be given to other dogs who didn't produce any of their own insulin because their pancreases had been removed to work out its effects on their blood sugar levels. The 10th of November 1921, first experiments were successful. Progress was initially slow, and while many of their experiments failed, Banting and the team saw regular drops in blood sugar levels because of their extract and were confident they were onto something big. By November, they'd successfully treated a dog with diabetes with their insulin extract for 70 days. 12. December 1921, a new team member and a new, purer insulin. James Collop, a biochemist, joined the group to work on purifying insulin so it would be safe enough to be tested in humans. With his help, a more concentrated and pure form of insulin was developed, this time from the pancreases of cattle. The 11th of January 1922, insulin was first used to treat a person with diabetes. In January 1922, Leonard Thompson, a 14-year-old boy dying from type 1 diabetes, became the first person to receive an injection of insulin. Within 24 hours, Leonard's dangerously high blood sugar levels dropped, but he developed an abscess at the site of the injection and still had high levels of ketones. Collop worked day and night on purifying the extract even further, and Leonard was given a second injection on the 23rd of January 1922. This time it was a complete success and Leonard's blood sugar levels become near normal, with no obvious side effects. For the first time in history, type 1 diabetes was not a death sentence. The 3rd of May 1922, the word insulin used for the first time. On the 3rd of May 1922, MacLeod announced the discovery of insulin to the international medical community, presenting a paper called "The Effects Produced on Diabetes by Extracts of Pancreas" at a meeting of the Association of American Physicians in Washington. It was the first time the team used the word insulin. The audience gave the researchers a standing ovation. The 23rd of January 1923, insulin belongs to the world. On the 23rd of January 1923, Banting, Collop and Best were awarded U.S. patents on insulin and the method used to make it. They all sold these patents to the University of Toronto for $1 each. Banting famously said, "Insulin does not belong to me, it belongs to the world." He wanted everyone who needed it to have access to it. The 15th of October 1923, insulin produced on a mass scale. As news of insulin's success spread, demand rocketed. The researchers set about improving their techniques for the production of insulin so it could be made in much larger quantities. Eli Lilly became the first manufacturer to mass-produce insulin, and in October 1923 they began shipping the first commercial supply of insulin. The 25th of October 1923, a Nobel Prize win. In recognition of their life-saving discovery, Banting and MacLeod were jointly awarded the 1923 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. Banting split his half of the prize money with Best, and MacLeod split the other half of the prize money with Collop. 1934, Diabetes UK was founded to improve access to insulin. What was then known as the Diabetic Association was set up in 1934 by novelist H.G. Wells and Dr. Rhode Lawrence, both of whom had type 1 diabetes. Rhode Lawrence's life had been saved by the discovery of insulin, and their mission was to ensure that everyone with diabetes in the UK had access to this breakthrough treatment, whatever their financial situation. 1 year later, we awarded our first research grant, and over the past 85 years your support has allowed our scientists to make more life-changing discoveries. We funded the first ever insulin pen and insulin pump, transforming how we deliver insulin and making living with the condition dramatically simpler. We've helped to prevent sight loss and roll out national eye screening programs. We set up the first diabetes foot clinic in the UK, helping to reduce amputations. And we're putting type 2 diabetes into remission thanks to our direct trial. Type 1 diabetes is a result of the body's immune system attacking and destroying insulin-producing cells in the pancreas. Insulin is a hormone produced in the pancreas that regulates the amount of glucose in the blood. Without insulin, the glucose levels in the blood become dangerously high. This is why people with type 1 diabetes need to inject themselves with insulin several times a day. On the other hand, type 2 diabetes is the result of the body becoming resistant to insulin or not producing enough insulin. This can lead to glucose remaining in the bloodstream instead of entering cells, causing high blood sugar levels. Insulin therapy is usually the first line of treatment for people with type 2 diabetes. However, the dosage and type of insulin may vary depending on the individual's condition. It's important to manage your blood sugar levels and follow a healthy lifestyle to prevent complications related to insulin resistance or lack thereof. In type 1 diabetes, your pancreas no longer makes insulin, so you have to inject it to control your blood glucose levels. There are different types of insulin, taken at different times. Insulin taken once or twice a day. This is called long-acting, background or basal insulin. It gives your body the insulin it needs whether you eat or not. Basal insulin should keep your blood glucose stable overnight and between meals. Insulin taken with food or drink. This is called fast-acting, mealtime or bolus insulin. It helps reduce the rise in blood glucose caused by eating or drinking. You usually take it before a meal, snack or drink with carbohydrates in it. So, always consult your doctor about your diabetes management plan and stay mindful of any changes in your body. Thanks for watching this video and subscribe to our channel for more informative content like this. Please leave your thoughts in the comments.